So by now, hopefully you've seen our review, our non-spoiler review of Star Wars. So this video is quite the opposite. We are going to be talking about it, acting like you, the viewer, has seen it, and just have a nice little discussion. Like, it's been a week and a half. It's killing at the box office. You know, it has the #1 all-time weekend with $248 million dollars. That's freaking. That might be the unbreakable record right now. Has the record for the highest Monday opening, Tuesday day, Christmas day. So, racking up all these records. So,
if you haven't seen it, don't bother watching this. Don't leave a comment.
If it's literally
spoilers, because it's made for that. So,
if you're part of the 4 or 5 people who haven't seen it, then turn it off now and then go see it, so we can get the 100% of like the world seeing it right now. So, but Star Wars: The Force Awakens was like an amazing movie to me. I loved it from start to beginning. Look at that, my excitement! I can't even talk. Start to end, from the opening shot where it was just like, it does have that New Hope feeling. Like the Rebel blockade runner from New Hope, the Star Destroyer covering like the silhouette of the moon in the beginning. Like right off the bat, you can tell like, oh, it's returning to Star Wars like form right now. So we're just gonna go around and tell what we liked or disliked about it. Rob, you go first. You like this movie, right?
I enjoyed it immensely. I was a big fan of Poe. Nobody else seemed to love Poe as much as I do. I hope he's a big part of the second one. It was good to... I don't know. It was just... I don't know. You seem to think it's more New Hope. Everybody seems to think it's more New Hope. I think it was more Empire. Then again, I'm pretty partial to Empire. So.
Yeah, but now we can talk about why you thought of, like, give us some of the reasons. Like,
oh, now I can talk about it.
Yeah, no, it's free talk.
Just the death of certain characters is just downing...
Han Solo.
Yeah.
You can spoil.
He's dead.
You can spoil it.
Han Solo's dead. They killed him. I thought they were going to kill somebody. I thought they were going to kill Han. I didn't want to believe it, but it happened.
We kind of knew it was going to be Han. Like,
it only made sense.
I didn't want it to happen. It just happened.
But it was right. I feel like that's the difference. It's like,
yeah,
it's right for the
right.
story. Like, how else would it have gone?
That's true. I just got to accept it. He's dead. The smuggler's dead. Let's see, what else? What didn't I like about it?
Well, I'm going to say what I like about it before we get into that.
Oh, okay. Go for it.
I feel like it was a really important movie from, like, a female or, like, just feminist perspective. Like, I didn't grow up with Star Wars like you guys did, but just I saw the evolution in terms of, like, maturity and characters and kind of fitting with the times more in this movie than anything else. 2 of the main characters, and I would argue the most main character of this entire movie, being Rey, were female and really important and strong. I think there were such, like, cool moments, like when Finn tried to grab her hand, she was like, I don't need you to grab my hand to run, like something like that. Like, just really cool, strong, something for little girls to look up to. You don't have to be like, oh great, cool, here's Leia, who was an otherwise awesome character, in a sexualized slave costume that's like taken the world by storm, which power to her. Like, it's really famous and it's not bad or anything, but it's definitely not any sort of a positive step for humanity. But to have the main character in, kind of like a cult nerdy film that arguably has a more male than female leaning fan base, and they made her strong and cool and not just a sex object, is really an interesting choice and something that I'm, like, really proud of. So that was cool.
Yeah, like, really she was already started out, like, by herself in Jakku. She wasn't, like, part of, like, this family who, like, hated her and just, like shoot her away. No, she was, like, living on her own. She defended herself when they tried to take BB-8 away from her. She kicked those guys, like, butts with her staff. She had no problem with that. So she was scavenging all by herself. So yeah, it was very cool, like her character arc. Even Captain Phasma, who basically was the Boba Fett in this movie in terms of not a lot of screen time, not a lot of spoken dialogue, but like she always had a presence. Like when Finn in the beginning was like all freaking out, and he's in the back of the ship, and she's just right there. It's like, oh, all right, well, she's like tough now.
You know she's not to be messed with, and it's beyond even just her costuming, which is really cool. She's commanding. All of the troops, which look like they're predominantly men, look up to her and know, you don't mess with Captain Phasma. Like, she brings the whip down. So whether you're more of a dark side or a light side fan, there's something for everyone.
She had like an awesome costume that just distinguished herself. Hopefully she's not dead. I don't think she's dead. Like
she's definitely not dead.
I mean, that was a nice little throwback to with the trash compactors. Like, throw in the trash compactor. So that was good. BB-8 was also amazing.
Yes.
This little robot guy had more emotion than like most movies' main characters. You know, like
I love R2, but I love BB-8. Like they do such a good job with conveying emotion in robots.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
And he doesn't need to be wacky like R2 was in Revenge of the Sith.
He was
running around screaming, "Oh, I'm gonna shoot out oil and then burn everybody with it because I'm R2-D2 and I could just do that."
Yeah, random things.
He's just cool. He's just like that. Oh my god, that emotion from him when he thinks Poe's
when
dead.
his head slopes
just like,
down.
Oh my god!
I almost cried with that.
That's
like,
so
Jesus
sad.
Christ, dude.
Like, he was a little bit wacky, but definitely nothing over the top. Nothing that's more than just charismatic
Honestly,
and cute.
the
Like, there's nothing
wackiest-
to not like about him.
The wackiest thing he did was the lighter.
Oh,
And
the
that,
thumbs up.
and that wasn't
was
even that wasn't even that crazy.
Yeah,
It was like
he
a
was
2-second thing.
He was
It's
just
like,
showing
okay,
that
was
he
funny.
was like,
good.
oh, thumbs up. Like that's
True.
how a robot with no arms is gonna confirm him. Like also Finn too was great. I knew John Boyega. Like we both knew him from Attack the Block. It's another like fantastic like underrated movie that not a lot of people have seen. So when we're like he cast in Star Wars, like holy crap, this guy like is gonna make it big now. So it was great that he had a great story arc too. Like he wasn't this cold-blooded stormtrooper. He was taken from his family that we found out raised to be a stormtrooper. But once he finally got into that first line of duty, like his first mission, he just kind of freaked out and was like, you know what, this is not for me. So
I wonder if the first person that got shot that he was like being all emotional over with the blood over the stormtrooper mask is anybody like important at all? If they're ever going to go back into that?
Probably not.
You don't think so?
Yeah, I think that was just to show that.
Just like just war.
Yeah, like shell shock type of thing.
Yeah.
That's like what people actually feel like, and
right.
I guess it's the first time I've ever seen blood from a stormtrooper, like in the stormtrooper setting.
Yeah, sure.
Like they just get shot with the
keep it kinda
phasers.
clean, and that's it.
Yep.
While we were vaguely on the topic of robots, C-3PO, gotta say, a little confused by his role in the movie slightly. I love C-3PO. I think he was among my favorite, if not my favorite, character throughout all of Star Wars up until this point. But I don't understand the red arm thing, and I think
nobody does.
I think it's really kind of lame that they just like sugarcoated it and just went on. Because especially, what were we seeing that was like behind the scenes? Like, oh, you'll understand why he has a red arm.
Yeah.
And it was clear that the reason that they did it was to make it look like he'd gone through something, which is compelling. And the fact that he didn't get any backstory, I just have a red arm now, and it was kind of annoying to me because I like him as a character, and even if they just a couple of lines about like, oh, he did this and that on that planet and it got shot off and this is what's underneath, like something. I would have loved to have known. It's kind of silly.
I also read it was because of the toys, actually, to differentiate him from the old school toys. It's like, oh, he's got the red arm. This is from the new movie.
Force Awakens.
So that may
like
very well be
marketing tactic
thing.
But still, literally with a sentence or two when he was coming off of the ship and like someone had asked him, they like noted his red arm.
It's like, oh, you may notice something different about me.
He could have just said a little something about like something that happened to him, and I feel like that could have just opened up our imagination a lot more to kind of imagine what character he is outside of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. A little bit lame.
And by like years wise, they are old tech by now. Like R2, D2, and C3, but they're like pretty much shouldn't be alive, I think.
Yeah.
Tech wise. But it got to the point they did such a well job with BB-8 and make you love them. By the time R2, D2, and C3 came on screen, it's like, oh, you guys, like technically I don't think they actually needed to be in the movie, and like we wouldn't have like noticed or
yeah, it's like
maybe
the
to the point
nostalgia
cared.
trip. Maybe that's why they didn't bother. They don't want you to invest anything anymore in C-3PO,
Yeah.
but if they're gonna do that, then they have to kind of phase them out gracefully because you guys have grown up with these characters and you still care about them at least slightly.
And R2D2 only has like 5 minutes of screen time and it's a pivotal part of the movie. Oh, he has the remaining map that they were looking for the whole freaking time.
R2 comes in the clutch every minute of fucking Star Wars. Every single one.
If he doesn't get the
there's not
final
R2,
kill on like Snoke by the end of it, I think it's just gonna be like a letdown. Like you just see R2 just zap Snoke into like oblivion, whatever. That's what he's gonna do.
We need some sort of like maybe in the next movie, like R2 and like BB-8 spending more time together, like teach them all the secrets.
The adventures of BB-8 and R2.
It's got to be something
and then,
because
and then R2 is gonna get killed, and we're all gonna be super emotional about
it's gonna be so sad
like,
if they
what?
phase out R2. But if they do that, you know that BB-8's gonna become the new R2 and it's gonna constantly come in to save the day somehow.
So, with the new characters, one of the brand new characters is Kylo Ren. Freaking, like, when we saw first images of him, like, he had a very strong presence, very Darth Vader-esque. He had, like, that wacky crossguard lightsaber, which I thought was, like, fantastic. It was such an, like, awesome design. Because when they said he was part of Knights of Ren, I was like, alright, makes sense, because it's more of, like, a traditional, like, sword type of thing, but in lightsaber form. We find out that he is Ben Solo, Han Solo's son, good old Ben, who was trained by Luke Skywalker, that got lusted by the dark side. He got converted over, killed the Jedi that Luke was trying to reestablish, and there you have it. Like, he turns himself into Kylo Ren, joins the Knights of Ren, takes that surname. So I don't know where they get the Kylo part, but whatever.
Maybe we'll find out in the next
movie. We'll probably know.
I'm sure there's further explanation.
Right from the beginning scene, like, they establish how much of a threat he is when he just stops the blaster right in the middle, just like midair, holds it, does his little discussion with Poe, takes it, looks at Finn, thinking like, who the hell's, like, what's wrong with this guy? Gets on a ship and then releases it. And it's like,
so good.
Wow, this guy's strong. You know, he's the grandson of Darth Vader, so you know he's definitely gonna have some strength to him. He has like the wits of like Han, like the brass of Leia and the power of Darth. Like, this guy has like a whole tornado worth of like awesomeness, like that potentially he can like do. Then we find out they unmask him in the middle of the movie. He's not this intimidating presence, so this is probably why he wears the mask, just like Bane. That's why he wears the mask. He has a cool voice synthesizer too. He's much better than Bane's.
My goodness.
But when he had Rey and she was like, "Oh, you're such a monster," and he takes it off like, "No, I'm not. I'm just like a regular dude." I think they did that on purpose, just to. They didn't want to recreate Darth Vader or try to. They're just like, he's just like this normal guy. He's just trying to prove himself.
Just a kid.
Yeah, he's just trying to prove himself in this galaxy far, far away.
I think it's almost more interesting that instead of having the older figure being the bad guy and then the younger person is the good guy, we're gonna get to see both of these characters grow, and then there's so much opportunity for, who knows, crossover. Maybe person will step into the dark side. Maybe Kylo Ren will show that he has a little more like empathy. Like, I think a lot more interesting stuff could happen.
Because he was battling with it a lot, like more than people probably realize. Like when he's talking to like Darth Vader's helmet, he's like, "Oh, just show me the way." He has that struggle. Like, he still has some good left in him. Like right before he killed Han, it was that moment of battle between like my light side and dark side, but ultimately the dark side went out. Like, he killed his father, so
with tears in his eyes, though.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even
he
wasn't laughing. Like, it wasn't like he was just pure evil or anything. Like, there was a bit of contemplation as to whether or not it was the right thing to do.
Right.
That was a very emotional scene. I was not prepared for that.
I kind of knew it was coming. And I looked
we knew
over
it was coming, but I don't think
and
anybody could be ready for that. Like, that was just too much.
It was also like abrupt. Like, part of me thought maybe something could happen that would last minute save it, and I was like, oh nope, okay, he's just gonna get stabbed, and that's it.
Yep.
And it sucks too, because you know when he dies, like, the emotion that the viewer is gonna react to. But we were talking about if Han dies, like how Chewbacca's gonna, and that might be just as sad. And Chewie just like went on a tear. Like,
so sad.
It was kind of awesome to see how he recoiled from it, because he went from like being sad for a whole 3 seconds and then perfect aim took out like
that's that rage,
5 or
like
6 people.
Wookiee rage.
Yeah, and the thermal detonator. He was just like, I'm out. Peace. like just destroy this whole base.
But seeing him afterwards, just like he's just sitting in the corner, just moping. Poor Chewie.
Poor Chewbacca. Oh, Wookiees.
Going back to Kylo Ren, I'm going to state an unpopular opinion, I guess, and say I didn't really love him.
Mm-hmm.
But
what was your issue with him?
it makes sense. I was telling Angel and probably you too about how, like, there's nothing about it that seems wrong. It doesn't make it a bad decision just because I don't necessarily like him that much yet as a character. But I guess it's their whole thing of, like, whiny guy kind of, like, starts learning the ways and ascends in the ladder. Like, I'm sure he's gonna be just crazy maybe in the next movie, the next 2 movies, but he was a little too whiny, I guess, for me to take all that seriously.
I mean, he wasn't as whiny as Luke was, or
No.
even so Anakin. He was more tantrumy.
He was tantrumy and still more dangerous, because it's like he didn't just say like "Ma," like just moping around. Like he
went
destroyed
crazy on
stuff.
everything.
But still, that like just unlikable factor, I guess, to me, that was kind of like ugh. But crazy in battle, like not anything to be overlooked or anything.
Yeah.
If he makes it to the, I guess the 3rd movie or the 2nd movie, probably more like the 3rd movie, I feel like he's going to be just super, just serious Sith Lord, like ridiculous. He's gonna have scars all over his face. Yeah. Hopefully, new helmet.
I think he's going to get a new helmet. He didn't take it with him.
He did not take it.
So he might have a redesign of just no helmet at all. Because I think Adam Driver didn't like the helmet because he couldn't see out of it, the actor. So they might compensate him, like, kind of do something half and half, like, oh, we may still need a helmet, but, like, something
maybe
different.
Maybe a two-face type
design. They could do, like, I think in the extended universe, they had, like, kind of like a mouthpiece on the bottom only.
Yeah,
which would be
something
pretty
like
cool.
that. Yeah,
very Mortal Kombat-esque.
Yeah. One difference between Vader and Kylo was, like, when somebody failed him, like when the prisoner got out, who, by the way, that stormtrooper who Rey mind tricked, if you don't know, was Daniel Craig, old James Bond. When he failed, and when the other one failed getting the map, he didn't kill them like Vader would. Like, if one of his generals failed Vader, he would just force choke him out and next in line. He didn't do that. He just went on his baby tantrum, just destroyed the consoles. So that's, like, also a different...
Yeah,
he's not fully, like, pure evil yet. And, like, I think he's still... They're still going to try to convert him over to the light side, because even though he did the forgivable act of killing Han, Leia is still his mother, and Leia is still alive. So a mother's always going to fight for her son, like, fight for her children. So she's going to... Until she dies, she's always going to try to convert him back to the light side.
It could be an interesting thing, too, if somehow Leia gets convinced by him. Like, maybe she goes a little dark at the end. She's remorseful over her husband being dead.
Imagine how that would go.
I don't see it necessarily happening, but, like, the fact that she wasn't killed. Like, as much as she's, older in the series now, definitely had her prime, like, something could still happen with her. So.
I feel like more likely she's probably going to... die of a broken heart, a la Padme from the Revenge of the Sith. It would not surprise me. I mean, Han's dead. Her son's in the dark side.
Comment down below. Do you think that you can die of a broken heart? Even though Angel and I have shown Rob that there's literal, like, medical articles showing that the stress, the emotional toll, the, like, psychological toll of dealing with a broken heart can cause physical dysfunction in your body and can cause you to die. Rob refuses to believe that it's, like, a plausible cause of death, so he doesn't see it happening. I'll agree that in the movie it's kind of just like, be still my heart, and then they die, but...
Oh, Annie,
but
what did you do?
It can happen. It can definitely happen.
I'm gonna have these babies and then die.
Oh boy. So, yeah, then all this takes place. Also, why I think it's, like, New Hope feeling is we have the Starkiller base. Starkiller, it has to be a reference to the character from Force Unleashed, because he was Starkiller. Yeah. So it's like one of those little breadcrumbs that JJ and the team, like, leave over for us Star Wars fans. Starkiller base is basically Death Star 3.0 at this point on steroids, because this thing draws power from the suns to destroy multiple planets at one time.
Do we know what planets it destroyed? Like, were there relevant planets?
So probably some that house the rest of the rebellion.
They pretty much destroyed the entire Republic, so I would imagine it would be pretty relevant.
Republic, Rebellion, I think they're all dead. I don't know. I have to I have to get into the extended theory thing. I'm sure somebody knows out there. I like the Starkiller base. I did not like how it was destroyed in one movie because it just fell into that theme like, oh, super weapon just gets destroyed in like one movie. I would have liked if they like kind of blew it up but not destroy the whole planet, so it's still functional, but they can't like get it back for like a movie or two, but it's still like around, you know. I thought it would have been a nice base of operation.
I mean, what makes you think they don't have more than one?
Then they'll go into that also the rinse repeat thing. It's just like, oh, superstructure kill in one movie. Like I would like to see one structure like survive a couple movies. Like I don't know. It's just
speaking of structures and not loving the way it was played out. Me and Angel were talking about the Death Star, and then the Jumbo Death Star, the Walmart Death Star, giant Death
Star. The Walmart Death Star?
Because it was so much bigger.
It's just
it's
just bigger Death Star. Like I think if you're making a
go
new
bigger,
movie,
go home.
I understand that, but and I get how it like harkens back to it. And it's like, oh, the Death Star is the ultimate. What's better than that? Oh, freaking massive
Super
Death Star.
Like.
But at the same time, they're going on a whole new track with this new thing. You know, they're not even keeping the same robot. Like, they have BB-8, whole new character. It would have been really cool, because Kylo Ren is so different than Darth Vader, and has already shown that, if he had, like, what a cool opportunity to do something creative and show what does his look like. Just the fact that it was so massive, I get that it's almost more imposing, and they could have kept the bigger size, but... like, a different design, I think, would have been a lot cooler. It just seemed pretty much like they almost left that choice for last minute. What do we do with the ship? Just make it bigger, Death Star. Okay. Yeah. And then they just did that. Like, it just wasn't great.
It's like that law of diminishing returns. Like, oh, Death Star, bigger Death Star, ultimate Death Star. Now in Episode 8, like, do they do super galactic jumbo Death Star with, like, wings this time? It goes underwater? I don't know. It goes underwater. It's interesting what they're gonna do from like here on out. So, a crazy battle. I also like speaking of like the final battles. Like they had the space battles, destroying the Death Star a la New Hope, which they didn't really focus that much on. Mm-hmm. They were just kind of like, oh yeah, that's happening in the background. Oh, they destroyed it. All right, let's get the heck out of here. Rey. Well, first it was Kylo and Finn who had their lightsaber battle. Finn clearly like no match for Kylo. He is a stormtrooper. He is trained, but like Kylo is Kylo. And then what was cool is like he wanted his lightsaber because that's like Luke's, so it's like family values, I guess, whatever. There's a little tug of war between him and Rey, which was like an awesome moment. I'm like, yeah, she's gonna force pull that lightsaber watch, and then boom, she got it. This is really the first like predominantly like there have been female Jedis in the past, like one on the Jedi Council, but one like featured. She like formed up, she hit the lightsaber, and like boom, they went at it. At this point, she like her training, she's far ahead of Luke in one movie span. Like Luke, he was kind of like okay with the Force. He didn't really understand like lightsaber battles until Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah,
she had a full-on battle. And won.
Yeah,
over a man, which if you think of that as even like kind of a cooler victory, that it wasn't just like, oh, Finn swept in to save the day because in the end he's male and that's how it works.
It
like
was a good old
she didn't need anybody to save her. She saved herself. She really proved herself.
Even so,
freaking awesome.
I don't know if we can measure Luke to her just yet because I mean, Luke did fight Anakin, who was already a fully trained Jedi by the time he became Sith Lord.
That's true.
And we don't know the extent of Kylo's training.
He is, I guess, a like step below
because he's technically, I guess, a Padawan.
Yeah, he's not Sith. Yeah, because he doesn't have a title.
So
yeah, I guess that's true. But to like, I don't know, she was already just doing like force pulls. She was already doing like Jedi mind tricks. Yeah. Like in her first day on the job, literally, and she was like,
got it.
Yeah, got it. I'm good. And then
there's definitely something obviously unexplored in her relation to the Jedi world because she's full of power and doesn't even know it yet.
Are we in agreement that that's Luke's kid?
Oh yeah.
I don't.
I think so.
They make it so obvious that I feel like it's not. I don't know. Maybe
it's gotta be.
Yeah,
it's gotta be.
There's some relation to Luke, if not his kid. It'll be a little soap opera-y, honestly, if it's not. And it's like, oh, it's his distant cousin's son. Like, I don't even know. That would be so silly. It has to be his daughter.
And like the thing that does tie in numerous interviews, they said the thing that ties the trilogies together is the Skywalker family. So it would make sense, like Kylo and Rey being cousins, I guess, at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But when she fights Kylo, first of all, Kylo just wrecks Finn. He gets like the lightsaber on his spine, like that.
Oh, don't forget the shoulder.
And
too,
the cross guards
the
came
hilt.
like for all the people who were joking about the cross guards, that came into use. Like that was really
very useful.
very useful,
So
and
true.
it's probably going to come into more use later on. But he wrecks Finn. We don't know Finn's fate at this point because Rey left after the battle. Kylo didn't die. She went with Chewbacca with the Millennium Falcon. She meets up with Luke because they finally find the map, and she walks like the Jedi steps, and that's how it ends. Luke has no words, just
commanding presence, and that's all
Yep.
he needs.
And a sweet goatee.
sweet goatee. He didn't care to like redo his arm. It's like I guess the flesh just like decayed off. Now it's just full robot arm. And then that was it.
What are our thoughts of New Yoda, aka
Oh, that the lady, the
Oh.
what's her name again?
Maz? Paz?
Yeah, it was,
Mal?
yeah, it was Maz. It was
Maz.
Yeah.
Maz.
Maz.
She's cool.
She seems cool.
Yeah, she had the chest, so she had the lightsaber in her little like vault. So
I liked her even more too, because even though she's, obviously wacky alien looking character, and Yoda's classic Yoda still spoke goofy, and that kind of removed you from any of the seriousness or the weight of what he was saying, because, goofy little green
Talks
troll
backwards.
guy
Yeah.
that speaks backwards. But she seemed more all business. Like, I think that this movie did seem a little bit more like, let's go wreck some Sith butt.
And it's also Chewbacca's girlfriend, supposedly. Or
Oh, yeah.
she
She loves
said.
that.
Is that like a fandom thing?
She's like, oh, where's my boyfriend? She's
Yeah,
like, oh, he's working
it's-
on the Millennium Falcon. Ah.
It's one of those things. Like
Oh.
she's in love with Chewbacca. Chewbacca's probably like, just like
You're so fuzzy.
yeah. So we don't know the fate of Finn. He could be wrecked. He could.
I don't think he's gone.
He's not dead.
He was so funny and
Mhm.
like so good that it would just be a shame if that he just died. Like that's the end
Yeah.
of Finn. Why?
Yeah.
What a waste that would be.
Like moments with him and Han, I think were great. Like when he kind of pointed to where Rey was like climbing up, and he's like, "Oh, why are you doing that?" Like the gesture with his like face is like, I don't know. It's like that goofy comic between them two was just great.
I was a big fan of. It's like, oh, I'm kind of a big deal in the First
Yeah.
Order, and Han kept calling him like big deal. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, come on, big deal. Like, what's going on? It's like, you got a target on your back, or
And the part when BB-8 was shocking him because he thought like he stole Poe's jacket, and
oh
like,
yeah, get pissed off.
yeah, and even interaction between Poe and Finn, like that's like Poe basically named Finn because Finn wasn't his name, it was FN-120 whatever, and it's like, oh, that's too much, I'm just gonna call you Finn. And I was like, all right, cool, then my name's Finn. Like, I don't know, just natural, nice reactions, like back and forth between characters.
Yeah,
Nothing was
that's
forced.
very
Nothing
true.
was just like, oh.
Even
Yeah.
the humor, like as much as over the top, I feel like that Finn was in some moments. It just flowed so naturally, and definitely a cool thing between Finn and Rey. Like even, I don't know, I think it's probably very important to some people that it's an interracial relationship. Like just taking it that one step further of a more modern love story and more
Yes.
something that you'd find in everyday
It's
world.
It's
Like
different. I like the fact that probably when they went to casting, they got whoever was right for the part and not whoever looked right for the part.
yeah,
Like it's like, all right,
very
you
true.
Giant Boy, get whatever, you're perfect for this part. Let's rock.
If they are going with the whole interracial relationships, can't speak. That's a big deal in England too. Like a lot of shows, Doctor Who mainly, that has a lot of interracial stuff.
Black Mirror.
Black Mirror, who there's some people from that. General Hux.
General Hux is also like another, like where the hell is he gonna go? Like you can tell the difference. General Hux is just like that kiss up type of will get you in trouble no matter what to get his own cause across. And versus Kylo was just like that moody baby tantrum guy. So